there are a few jobs that are guaranteed to be disrupted. Let's be honest. Customer service. There is no reason why a full-grown adult should sit on a phone and repeat a script.
Olayinka Iyiolakan is a Nigerian social innovator, entrepreneur, and artificial intelligence researcher committed to bridging the digital divide and redefining education through technology solutions. He is the founder and CEO of CDial, a pioneering social enterprise that develops speech-activated technology and digital tools for over 20 indigenous African languages.
The people are asking Grok to tell them their history. Where will Grok find the information on your history on the internet? Did you put it there? Only a few people wrote books. As a country, how far back are we? Not so far back. Do great work, but teachers are slow to change. What happens when we all adopt self-driving cars? Now that AI can write the best essay and multiple choice questions, you think AI is a problem?
So I'm back again. So he's not motivated, and I think one thing that has happened over the past, if you're not living under a rock, one of the things you know is basically AI is here to stay. It's taking over. We're all now in an age where almost every email you want to write, ChatGPT help me respond. ChatGPT help me this, that, help me that. But I feel, however, if you look at everything, history seems to be repeating itself. Because in the days when Google started, the world was moving into Microsoft, Google, Apple. We started moving into a .NET era back then. And Africa literally took a back seat. We're paying 100 naira for every 10 minutes back then. And saying, going to cyber cafes to browse. We're interested in emails. We don't care if we own the email or not. We just want to, do our own and everything. So, and the same thing is happening now. AI is taking over. And it seems like we're basically at the backseat again. And I feel it's high time we start talking about what is missing. It's no longer the age where we start talking oil revenues. We're talking about, revenues of things that are basically very intangible. And so with me today, we're going to be discussing that hard truth around AI and how to basically get us into that whole mindset of using AI to its capacity, and not only using it, but building the infrastructure and landscape for ensuring, we bring everything to light. So my guest today he's with me now, and he's a CEO of CDial, and they've been doing a lot of conversation AI. And I think I researched the work, and I'm like, oh wow, this is actually even possible. But I'll leave that to Yinka to talk about. But welcome with me, Yinka. So yeah, Yinka.
Thanks for having me.
Well. I'll say we will thank you after. But before we move, I think one of the things, what really, I always like to start this show from ask you what your biggest fear is, and then I ask you at the end what you're most optimistic about. And the reason is because it's important to set that tone for this thing. So before I want to go into what CDial is about, but before I go into that, what Indigenous AI is about, before I go into that, I want to what is your own biggest fear in terms of AI right now, like in Africa, Nigeria now?
In Africa, my biggest fear is that we would not take this opportunity to solve our age-long biggest problems that exist and have existed across the continent.
Which is what?
Communication. Think about it. For decades, we've been talking about a single currency across Africa. We've been talking about a free trade agreement. We've been talking about tourism. Like it's cheaper to go into many European countries than to travel to neighboring African countries.
Tell me about it.
All of that is rooted in communication. Now, you might say, business communication is at the bedrock of, or miscommunication or lack of it is at the bedrock of every conflict. Or every broken down system. The governments across these nations don't talk clearly to their people. The teachers don't talk clearly to their students. The businesses don't communicate clearly with their customers. Like, despite the large population of people on the continent, we have 8 unicorns, like according to venture capitalists, right? So I think we have to try not to lose the opportunity that artificial intelligence can provide to us. And don't get me wrong, people are saying, "Oh, is that the problem right now? Aren't people hungry? Can't we solve the hunger problem?" Like I saw a newspaper from 1976 that said Nigerians are hungry and Africans are hungry.
It's always been
People have always been hungry.
but it's a global challenge.
It's
That's not something Nigeria alone.
So at the bedrock of the problem is that our farmers, we've always promoted what we say smallholder farmers. It would not work. For these smallholder farmers have to become larger farmers. For them to become that, they need to find information on how to do the business of farming, on how to do agro-allied businesses, not to sell maize, but to sell the processed products out of it. How do they find that information? How does a farmer who is skilled in building and growing products find information and work with another Nigerian across, the border of a state if they are not able to communicate, agree, and work together? And at the bedrock of it is that we have many languages, many cultures across Africa, and we've not been able to synergize it over time. And we have a huge opportunity with artificial intelligence to use it to solve our communication problem, which would reduce conflicts, improve how we're able to do business, improve how we transfer knowledge, and improve how we hold leaders accountable so that we can truly, truly grow the continent.
Interesting. So if I hear you correctly, so basically, because, you mentioned something in there that you basically have two people. Let's take the example, farmers, and they basically, I have my product. Oh, I'm selling maize, I'm selling this. Now, if you look at it, there was this time I was doing a lot in cassava. And we realized that Nigeria was one of the biggest producer of cassava.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I was actually very amazed. I was like, okay, I think it was Ireland, the one country in Europe that was like second. But in terms of export, they were bigger, we were smaller. And the same thing, you now look at how much derivative of cassava happens that we import.
Yep.
Then the story starts sinking in. We produce the largest, but we import a huge amount of product that rely on that same product. So you start asking, so where do we start, getting that access? So I think, how then do we get this information to the farmers? How do we get information to everybody? How do the companies, how are they able to use AI efficiently to say, hey, is how we're going to get things done? What's the role AI is going to play in that whole thing?
Okay. So the whole AI game is premised on three things. Data, which is the data sets that you use to train and fine tune the AI models.
Okay.
Compute, which is the power of, the computational power, right? Not just CPUs, but GPUs, graphics processing units that you use to train these models and to serve it. And then the third thing is talent. We currently do not have the talent that it takes to train these AI models en masse. For example, my current AI engineers, which is researchers in my company, I employed one from Chad, one from Cameroon. There's currently one who is from Ethiopia but lives in Rwanda. And then my AI, CAI, Chief AI Officer, is Nigerian and very skilled, but spends a lot of time in Canada. Do you think I didn't interview Nigerians? I did, 20s of them. They were just using me to catch crews and trying to, they didn't have the requisite skills. So we have a talent deficiency, not only for talents to build AI models that we need, but we need to have talent in all the companies we want to work with that can implement AI to reach the customer, same way they do front-end, React, and all of this coding. So we need those types of talent. Now, we also need the talent to help us collect data. That we have resolved, because the data that we need to use to train AI models that can speak to Nigerian farmers and speak to regular Nigerians, the data, guess where it is? Not on the internet. It's in the minds of Nigerians. So how are you going to get the data out? Through Excel? Do people have the right Excel skills? Do they have the right digital skills? So we built an app that helps us do that. So that talent to get the data that we need is available. But to collect that is very expensive as well, and it has to be worth it. So our focus right now is probably on languages that are spoken by at least 20 million people, not just languages spoken in my village, right? I'm focusing on things outside of myself. Now, when you put all of that together and you build the best model possible, who's going to use it? Are you going to try to sell or offer it for free to the end user? If you try, you're going to fail because they don't have the right skills to use it. So the right play would be B2G, which is business to government and business to other businesses that serve them. So your agri-business, we would serve you so you can serve the farmers in local languages. But the way to do that, there are few more challenges. In Africa, despite the internet penetration, only 60-something% use smartphones. So a lot of people still use feature phones, old school phones. They call it palasa, right? How is AI going to work on that? One more thing. If my WhatsApp call to you is breaking, my Zoom call to you is breaking, I can't watch a YouTube movie by Bimbo Ademoye without it breaking. How am I able to serve someone with AI? So there are existential problems that we then have to bypass and are working to bypass. But beyond us, that other people in the ecosystem have to bypass. If you want to reach our people, text will not do it. Pasting posters will not do it because our people are intelligent. But intelligence is not premised on being able to speak English. It's knowing what you know, whether it's in Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. We need to be able to reach our people the best way, and the best way is voice. One more thing I'll add. The proof to why voice AI, beyond us, but how that would be what will succeed in Africa is this. Till today, the most pervasive form of media is what?
YouTube.
To us in the city, in the village.
In the village?
And across Nigeria.
I think you'll pick NTA as far as I'm concerned.
And Radio Nigeria.
Yes, radio.
Because you don't need light for Radio Nigeria. You can put battery into a radio, right? And guess what radio stations do? They speak local languages. Till today, radio is the most pervasive form of media. BBC Hausa, Radio Nigeria. Even in Lagos, where we say it's cosmopolitan, what's the most listened to channel? Wazobia FM. What do they speak on Wazobia?
TJ.
That's the premise to how communication is at the center. And not only communication, but communication in local language, the languages people understand and use every day with their family.
Okay, so to the guys out there, listening and watching this, one thing I would really like to get them to understand, I think is to understand. So this infrastructure that we've talked about, because I hear you say there is data, there is computing, and there's talent. But it seems that talent problem is on both sides.
Yeah.
It's on the user problem. There's a user problem with talent. There's a, what's it called? Production problem on talent.
Yeah.
So, which means we don't have enough engineers to produce. If we now produce, we don't have enough people that are able to use, basically. So, who should be leading this infrastructure play now in Nigeria? If I say, there is one sector that should be doing something today, who should be, what should be happening in those sectors and who should be leading it?
Government.
Okay.
Unfortunately, government holds a lot of power in Africa, and that power comes with responsibility. So government has to lead it. The play in America, because they have capital, it's led by the private sector, obviously Silicon Valley.
Okay.
Even in China, the DeepSeeks that and Kling AI are backed up by government, China, right? Now, the good thing is, right now, the government in power, the person in charge of it is a tech bro, right? And they've done some work. Recently, 2 weeks ago, they put out an open source set of data and a large language model that you can get access to, that they spent a bunch of years producing.
But who owns the data? Who owns the application? Did we build it here?
Well, they here with support of, a bunch of partners, but the They obviously collected the data here because this is the only place.
So I'll tell you my issues, right? And this is just stop. Sorry for cutting. I'm coming back to that problem of who should lead it. My issue is always, so let's take something as simple as, large language model produced. Africa as a whole needs to start understanding that no matter what you do, if you are not the one that turned the screw of that engine, you can never control whatever that engine does. So when somebody tells me, I'm releasing a large language model, yeah, that's a nice thing to say. But did the professor in Nigeria create that large language model? What equation? What's the premise? Who is that model?
It's very relevant. Now, I would say a lot of them were Nigerians, but obviously they got international support. They are Nigerians living in Nigeria, and we also have smart people who are Nigerians or in the diaspora. Great team. I know them very well, who supported the government to build it. But and also that same program or a similar program has also provided research grants to professors in different schools. So there is some work into it.
Fantastic.
Right? But is it enough is the question. But also the model that is now open source on Hugging Face, who knows how to use it? We were talking about talent earlier. How many people know how to change that open source model into a functional tool that can serve the people? How many people have the GPUs to process it? Because it's very expensive and the cost is in dollars. How many data centers do we have in Nigeria? In Africa as a whole, how many data centers?
Nigeria
AI data centers do we have?
16.
Yeah.
Not much.
But they are for cloud, the old school technology.
And then they also for this, our MTN, Airtel, and the rest. Most of them.
MTN has a new one that they put out this year. But they are not AI data centers.
Well, true.
None. Probably the closest is South Africa, and I truly doubt it, except it's very new.
I think the South African one, I know about that one because I game a lot.
Yes.
So, that's where we all connect to now because but I think the South African one can at least handle AI to some extent, especially if it's giving you the sort of level of gaming we have now in Nigeria. But I would expect it to have that level of this thing. But
so these are some of the infrastructural challenges. And you see, building a data center, AI data center, even for large corporations, is no joke. You have to think about the chips. You have to be able to acquire the chips. Beyond acquiring the chips, cooling, powering it every day. Customers have to be ready-made to be able to balance the cost of you running a data center. It has to be secure. So there are many, many things that goes into that. Government plays a central role, and they call it sovereign models. Some governments are doing it in many parts of the world. But here's the flip side. If we truly check, maybe not this model, but a future model, is our data, personal data, being used to train these models? How is the government using it, using the data privately to serve us? Like people in Singapore are worried about that, and Indonesia, because they're also building sovereign model. They're saying, government, what data are you using to build this? So that's also a question that you would have to ask about sovereign models. But if we are truly going to be successful and be real, based on the antecedents of governments, whether the current one or the past one, we have to find a way as a private sector to push for this. And the way to push for this is the resilience of Nigerian people, offering them ways that they can use it creatively, whether government or not, putting it in front of them, ways that they can learn how to use it, to prompt engineer, to context engineer. But beyond that, to use it for basic things, to create content. How people love, to create content.
Dancing. You say,
to dance.
We like the... So, but
and put it in front of people. That might be the way out.
Context, right? I want to understand. So let's take a basic AI data center. How much does it cost? Just a rough figure. What would you say? We put this money on the table. We build an AI data center.
Depending on the size, but to build it and to run it would be north of $50 million.
Okay. So now, if we say let's put that figure at 100 million.
Maybe, yeah.
And say $100 million.
Even more. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like you get a basic one.
Yes.
So the point is, but I think it's important that people understand the potential of data centers. So what really is the potential of an AI data center? What does it, so because, we talk refinery is great stuff, but I feel there's a missing oil.
Oh yeah.
In Nigeria now, and it is data and technology. I really feel in the past 20 years, Nigeria has missed out on collecting its own data and using it properly. I was speaking with somebody from MTN a while back, and he was telling me whatever data is collected from users today in Nigeria is not used anywhere for anything. Like there is actually a zero usage law around it. Now, you can't blame the government. One, because there's a lot of people that can exploit that. But that I like, there's pros and cons to privacy, but there's a limit and balance you need to find. Now, what is happening as a result is that people are going to ChatGPT and typing personal information, getting on non-contextual results. Let me put it that way. And ChatGPT has done quite a bit. I think I applaud what they've done in that area. But the point is, if we need $50 million to $100 million to build a basic one,
even more.
But what is the potential? What in Nigeria now, if I put it down now, how do you see that person saying, okay, you know what? $100 million is worth it. This is what we're going to get from it. What's the real potential? So let's say I take indigenous AI now and I say, okay, you know what? I want to put a whole data center behind you. What will be the ripple effect of that?
The ripple effect would be, number one, latency. Okay. Even though these things exist.
For the sake of
yes.
we all of us, we are not tech bros.
Is the processing speed. We said we store things in the cloud, and some people think the cloud is above. The cloud is a location somewhere, like the South African place you mentioned. That potential is that cloud that exists in a location in Nigeria. Number one, the jobs that it would create.
Okay.
The basic jobs it creates to build it and to keep it on site and to maintain it. Right? We'll need power to maintain it. We'll need people to maintain like things that fry, chips that fry, and all of that. Now, beyond that, it means that the lack of it means that a lot of our data of startups and on scale-up companies are stored in some place in Europe or in parts of the world. Those people can point that data and point their infrastructure to a Nigerian entity. Beyond that, cost. It means that a lot of us that build solutions pay for cloud. Obviously, we'll get a bunch of AWS credits and Google Cloud credits. But at the end, it would expire and you will start paying for cloud in dollars when you earn money from your business in Naira. So the cost of sales and cost of producing your software products will also drop because it's now domiciled here and you can share it. But also the integrity of the data. A lot of our data exists outside of our country. Like being able to have it within your country, it would, and beyond that, it would even open up a bunch of companies to be able to now say, hey, we would start selling cloud space from you and retailing it to a bunch of not only startups, government parastatals shouldn't have their data hosted outside this country. Right? Sorry?
Do they?
I can say that many of them do.
Why?
Why is because maybe they got a software developer to build a solution for them.
Who just
hosted it somewhere on AWS. Is there an AWS cloud center in Nigeria? Do you know of one? Do you know of GCP, Google Cloud Platform? Like, does Google have one in Nigeria? They might have it offshore, somewhere close where they host it. But the truth is, it's not here. And I think their data center is in 44 US states.
Wow.
The last time I checked, might be more. Right? We can't compare ourselves to US, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, one, that can support us, not maybe slightly fractional, something that we can use to train AI models, but beyond training it, to host, beyond hosting, to be able to aggregate all our data and secure it and know that it exists and that our national security is fortified within our own country. That is the step in the right direction. You can't put that all on government.
So why isn't, because, you know, in the private sector now, I feel there is, so I always like to classify the tech sector. There is the MTN and Airtels, the big guys. I think they are the backbone of almost everything.
Correct.
Then there is the fiber people, the IPNXs, the other, those are there.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is a tech data,
That the IHS, the big boys,
like those guys, so the IHS are there that basically provide infrastructure to make sure you can connect, but they are more reactive because they have to they provide only what an MTN wants or an Airtel wants. They're not going to just go and be building boom, boom, boom all over the place. It's quite, now, there is the data center people, and then there is now the consumers, which are the startups and everybody. So, in my own head, I'm beginning to ask, okay, startups get funding. Startups basically, after funding, go into a swivel, then start running around looking for how to please investors. Do you think the real problem is that the revenue system is not balanced across all these sectors? Because if you look at the MTNs, they are sustainable, they are fine. But at the same time, they're not going to just be investing in things without knowing what to make of it. Mm-hmm. Does MTN have $100 million to put on AI data center?
Absolutely.
Yes. Does IHS have $100 million to put on AI data centers? Yes, they have. But why would they? The consumers here basically are sitting on this amount of data. They produce as much revenue to make MTN feel, okay, you know what, wait, this guy's pay AWS $10 million every year. Let me put $500 million. Is that a real problem in the private sector? That the development of the sectors is not strong enough to accommodate this investment? Or you think that the investment should come before the development?
It's cause and effect. You know, some startups, not only startups, but legacy companies have shown enough promise for there to be a business case to establish, not one that is 10 acres, a data center that has the right infrastructure to support AI usage, right? That is very important. There is business case to push that. But beyond Nigeria, West Africa, Ghana, there are other entities within these companies that can start pointing their solutions to here because they can reduce latency, because they can price in a local currency, and a bunch of other reasons. So there is a business case for it. On an AI scale, is there a overly successful AI company right now that would be the poster boy to, oh, this is why we need to go set that up? Not yet. We want to be that. But for us to be that, we need to be able to price at the right amount, to price in Naira, because our customers don't want to be paying in dollars, right? And we don't even want to put pressure on FX. So there's the importance and the need to set up that. And data centers are even spun up in 1 year or in 6 months. It takes time. So if there's a good time to start, it's now. So that by the time that there's the cause and effect, push and pull, and more businesses start having AI strategies and deploying things that they are paying 5,000 people to do in a warehouse to pick up calls, they're deploying their customer calls and customer support calls to AI, there's more uptake of AI and there will be more need to do it and to do it locally.
I still took one question I want to go back to, which is, you've mentioned latency as one of the big ricochet effects of having an AI data set.
Yeah.
But I want you to finish on that one. Then I also want to ask, we all go into these AI frameworks and we say, okay, you know what? Oh, we want to be, I think there is more vision in Nigeria than action.
Yeah.
Really. We have a lot of, I want to be the best in the world. Let's act.
Yeah.
I don't think it. So, but let's finish up that question. But I want to come down to why you think that in the world of AI today, why you think maybe let me not say why. How far behind are we? It's like when I see what has happened, it's a lot. Yeah. It's like the AI actual thing is happening in there. It's moving. Oh my God, it's insane. How far behind are we as Nigeria or Africa as a whole in terms of the AI movement itself? And what do we need to do to catch up? But that's where I'm coming to. But I want you to finish that first ripple effect. That, okay, latency is one, which I think for me as a gamer, I would love it. I would love to be able to play Call of Duty on 2 ms. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Let me see who's going to go and shoot.
Yeah.
But that's there. But the key factor is, what are the other things that basically if I had today, I'm like, okay, you know what? Can I go and convince an investor to come and put $100 million in AI data centers in Nigeria? Why?
Why is because beyond, we already discussed latency, and it means that if I send a command, I don't want it to take 1 second before it sends the command to the cloud, and then another 3 seconds before it sends the command back. That's 4-5 seconds. So think about our own infrastructure. We have the way that we have stacked it is there's a speech to text model, which when you speak Yoruba, it takes the Yoruba that you say, speech, and translates it or transcribes it into Yoruba words, right? Speech to text.
So it takes the Yoruba I say, try to transcribe it.
And transcribe it to a Yoruba sentence. You are still speaking, but every time you speak, it's taking the Yoruba word and transcribing it to a sentence.
And that needs to adapt to every accent.
Yes. Now, immediately it's doing that, it's also finding a context to which you are speaking. If you said, Monlo Ogun, it's trying to find the context of the Ogun that you're talking about, right? Then it sends that context to an LLM to get the way to respond to you. Was it a question? Was it a statement? Was it, did you ask it to take the notes down? Whatever you asked, the LLM processes it, LLM, ChatGPT, Indigenous One, whatever LLM, and then generates the response. Now, maybe based on your setting, you asked it to respond in English, in Yoruba, in Hausa, whatever language. It then generates the response, translates it to that language, and sends it to the text-to-speech model, which is the one that is able to speak like Siri, like 11 Labs, whatever.
And then that produces the speech.
Yes. The average time that should be, max, should be 75 ms.
No way.
Average time.
75 milliseconds.
Yes.
To do all this.
Yes.
Take your speech.
Yes.
Transcribe it. Send it. Find the context.
Yes.
Send it down to the LLM.
Yes.
Send it back to the speech engine. And then produce voice.
And produce it out. Right? Because as I'm speaking to you now, you're responding in less than a second. That's the way conversational AI should operate. But if it's carrying that speech to text that I hosted on AWS and sending it to San Francisco.
Then San Francisco send it
San Francisco processes
California
and sends it back. You see why it will be talking after 4 seconds. And then it would not feel natural.
But isn't there a way to host it closer?
That's your business case to your client who wants to come and invest in the model. But even beyond latency is that there is a burgeoning ecosystem that has learned from its mistakes. We invested heavily in fintechs, crypto. Right? Now we're still doing stable coins, but that's, we'll see how that plays out.
We'll get you that one.
We'll see how that plays out. But there's a burgeoning infrastructure, like ecosystem rather, in Nigeria that's incomparable to anywhere else in Africa. Maybe Egypt. Egypt is also like a strong startup ecosystem. And there's the people to use it. Now, if the question has always been whether we're 200 million people or 250 million people, the argument has always been what you are building is for the middle class, which is 10% or 20% of these people. So your technology, your scale cannot be big enough. If AI can simplify communication and help reach the last mile, then it means that every company that's currently serving 20 million people, let's say, what's the name of this savings platform? Let's say Paystack is not savings. It's what's the name of
PiggyVest.
PiggyVest.
Yes.
PiggyVest that probably serves, now I'm estimating, serves 10 million, 20 million customers. Gets to serve 150 million. Why? Because PiggyVest can now create solutions that work on a person who doesn't even know how to operate an app, but can speak to their app. Which means that there are lots of conversations. We are talkers, you know it, as Africans. There are lots of conversations now happening. This optic is great potential. I'll give you another example, something that we're building that I might not be able to talk about. Imagine a telecommunication company being able to serve customers, to be talking like a grandma who only speaks Yoruba is talking to a child abroad who only speaks English. But grandma is speaking Yoruba. The child is speaking English. They're having a conversation, paid on a service, 500 naira a month on a telco partner. All of these are powered by GPUs. For that conversations to be seamless, the center needs to be domiciled in Nigeria, or at least somewhere close in Africa. Wow. These are the use cases at scale. One more. Fintech. I don't want to call out any bank, but an average Nigerian, tier 1 bank, when you call customer service, spends 18 minutes asking you to wait.
Oh, yes. Standard.
Why?
Do you even stop calling?
Yes. Because they ask you to wait while they find like an attendant who is somewhere in Mushin, a warehouse in Mushin, where they boss 1,000 people or 500 people to do that 24/7. I'm not asking you to fire those people. I'm asking you to help them. If you help them by using an AI powered in the cloud to pick the call immediately, 63% of those calls are basic requests.
Yeah.
That way you can reduce all of that expenses, the diesel you are spending to host those people, that you can reduce even the customer satisfaction that they feel towards your product. So there are many benefits towards what will happen, but it might seem that we're not ready. But when will we truly be ready? Do we want to build it in 10 years where we're now lagging behind and trying to play catch up?
I actually don't believe in the readiness story. And I say that all the time. And I always like to use the GSM example or something. Was Nigeria ready for GSM?
Well, we were not.
No. It was 25K per SIM. Everybody bought it.
Yep.
Guess what? Boom.
Yep.
We are here.
Yep.
Now, were we ready for... Now, I was talking to somebody one time about, developing some, telecom initiative to like, okay, can we even give this thing to people? And like, how do we make money from it? And like, you don't have to sometimes. If the road was clear, everybody will be on it.
Absolutely. So we just have to think big enough. We have not thought big enough. That's where we are. Now, you said we are big thinkers. We have to act the size of our thoughts.
Yes. But I think the problem with that is that and this is more of an education that I'm hoping we're able to communicate through this podcast, is that a lot of people, and this happened to me, is a realization I had through different stages of my career. When we think, you understand, we think in ends. We don't think in steps.
Yeah.
And what I mean is that if I say to you now, I want to become the best, programmer in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good dream. Amazing. But I'm thinking in terms of the end. So now there are two sides to that dream. Side one is I'm going to have to be coding for 18 hours a day.
Yep.
Most likely when I'm sleeping, I am dreaming codes.
Yep.
And in my sleep, I will solve code that I wake up, I will code again, I will split it out. Because Thomas, the guy that made it, Thomas Edison that made the light bulb, right? 1,000 tries. Really? You think it's a joke? That means like wiring or 1,000 times. Okay, put that aside. Now, that is side one. Is the hard work. You've done that. You now get to become that best. Side two happens, which is I am now going to be relearning and unlearning my own, history. I'm going to start saying, okay, I did this yesterday, because trust me, being the best, or forget best, being an elite at anything requires you to sit down every day of your life and keep producing the best output every blessed day. That means a kid in Iyanokwaja that has the same dream of being the best, you need to best him. It is, so I think side 2 is the worst part. That's why most people, when they have ideas, they raise funding, then they're like, where is the revenue? And they start realizing that, it didn't end at funding. No.
Yeah.
It actually started from, we've done all the work. We're coding from our garage. I used to go to my friend's house, go and code inside the school. No problem. I take money, go and do it.
The biggest job is distribution in startups. I know firsthand. I can build anything. I can build a fintech next week. But how do you get the tool into the hands of the people that need to use it? Think about, let's use traditional businesses. Dangote built a refinery. He didn't own filling stations yet, right? He built a refinery. And when he launched, he saw how the market was playing and showing him. Then what did he do after that? I think they partnered with MRS to start distributing into the stations, like to get it to the people who needs to buy. Imagine if he was saying, once we build the refinery, people will come and buy. People will come and queue at our gate in Ibejuleki. So distribution is a major play because it's a business after all. It's not an NGO. NGOs can just worry about, hey, let's just do it and pilot it and do annual reports, and everybody will say we have done a great job. So it's a distribution game. Obviously, it's not extensive what I've discussed on how it will trickle down to what data centers will do for us. But there are use cases already right now. Every single bank in this country, right, will be a patron of that data center at whatever level, small or big. Every single institution will be. Every single, even government institution, like INEC processes a lot of data of Nigerians. Like the people who do the information registry, they process census board, they process NIN, they process information.
Just your phone number.
Like the idea of being in the airport and they scan your passport, it goes to a particular server to check your name. Those are inferences, those are calls to the platform where, usage of this will happen. Then think about West Africa and how we can dominate across Africa. So I think we can continue to talk about, that, but the time to do it is now. It's not tomorrow.
So I think we need to now come back to that question. How far back are we right now? Because, a lot has happened with AI, really. It's, we've had ChatGPT now has an agent mode. That I remember one time I was trying to find a flight. I literally just say, find me a flight for X, and basically went on, gave me a huge amount of, and that required, eventually I don't think it's perfect yet. I think I felt like I could have done whatever it was doing for me way faster than it did it. It was too much complication, but that's, by the way, the key factor is there is something like that. So how far back are we as a nation, as a continent, and maybe as a race now? Because I'm even now worried about us as Black people. But yeah, how far back are we in terms of AI now?
It's a layered question. As a country, how far back are we? Not so far back. Reason why? Most countries across the world don't know what they're doing with AI. Why? Usually they would have found a way to quickly regulate it, but they're watching because the changes in AI are faster than the changes in the .com era or the other ones where changes were sort of methodic over 2 years. Like Windows 11 will come out and then we'll wait a while before the next one. This one is like every 3 months there's a new iteration of the model. So as a country, like amongst countries, just on the surface, we're not so far back because in the end, the US is leading the space. European countries are aligning on their usual GDPR to sort of just protect their people from exploitation, right? I met with the person who leads the Association of AI across the EU in Berlin. And that person was talking about the challenges that they are facing because they have tons of AI companies as well, much bigger AI companies than ours in Africa.
Interesting.
But there's still a huge reliance on American companies because of the IP and patents that they own, so there's still, everybody's still sort of playing catch up and figuring out what they're going to do. But that's the only good thing that I have to say. On the other side, how far back are we as a people? Very far back. How far back?
Days or years?
25 years.
No way.
But we can catch. I'll explain why. I'll explain why. AI models, that the foundational models, like the GPT, not ChatGPT, the GPT 4s, 5s, they are trained on internet data. Our data, most of it has never made it to the internet. So by chance, we can't even get our languages, our knowledge trained because we didn't document a lot of things. I'll give you an example. A lot of stories about families and about wars are oral. Your parents will tell you verbally. They didn't write it down. As a people, one of the reasons that, colonialism and all of that happened to us was because we were very semiotic. Most of our things, we drew it on rocks. So to crush our history, they broke the rocks. We didn't write it on paper. Even if we did, it was burnt away fast. So until now, how many people have a proper description of their family tree going back 5 generations in a book in their family house? Have you seen one?
At least not in my family.
Yeah, at least not in mine too. That's basic information about, Baba, me, my papa. Like the kids can't open a small book to find out. Don't even write it as text. Shebi would like to draw, or would like to draw it somewhere. How many people during their father's 70th birthday or 80th birthday would they take the chance to go record the poor man to even explain the family so that there's some sort of history? So as a people, scratch in 5 years, 50 years, we haven't documented our history.
Wow.
If you go on conversation on Twitter or X, as they call it, people are asking Grok to tell them their history. Where will Grok find the information on your history on the internet? Did you put it there? Only a few people wrote books. Billionaires will make money, and you ask them, how did you make it? My brother, now God.
God.
Yeah, now God, how did you do it? I'll give you another example. The most pervasive and working model of business in Africa is something called the Mba Boy, which is the Igbo entrepreneurship system. It works. Put a boy somewhere for 6 years to shadow you and watch how you sell. And when that boy is done, give him money to start a small shop. And that small shop usually turns to 3 shops and 4 shops. But send a person to school to get 4 years university in physics. No knock on people who learn physics. It's great. I wish I learned it. But the truth is, it's not useful right now in many African spaces. Has that proven to be a successful model for us?
But guess what? Well, on that one, I can tell you, there can be a variation of it where it works. But let's
I'll give you one more. Who are the people who do POP and do handwork in Nigeria today? Are they Nigerians? Most of them.
Yeah, they're not. You rarely find Nigerians.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, POP, you rarely find Nigerians. So anything handwork,
yes,
you rarely find Nigerians. If they are Nigerians, they are in that border.
Yes, they're from Cotonou and from those places. Now, those countries aren't even half a fraction of our country. Where I'm going to with all of this is we don't have a culture of knowledge storage and transfer in any sphere. Our history is a history of politicians and military leaders, not a history of trailblazers in our community.
Even that is not well documented?
Yes. To start to fix that, there's only a few that our company can do. We can do it for, to be able to collect data and train models so it speaks very nice. But us as a people have to start documenting. Now we have these tools for AI. Instead of mimicking politicians with it, use it to tell a story of your people. You say they are marginalized, tell their story. It means that makes it into YouTube. It makes it into the internet, makes it into blogs, into books. That's the data that future AI companies would use to train models. And that's how it will be representative of you. So as a people, we're not ready. Now, finally, businesses. I was just coming from right now, before we had this conversation, training a fund, like a capital, a financial company, training them about AI and using it and what not to do, what to do. Many companies, from our estimate, 90% of Nigerian companies, middle to large companies, do not have clear AI strategies. So employees use AI on a daily basis to write emails. But as a business, what are you doing with AI? What are your 3 most important problems that you're going to try to use automation to solve in the next 3 years? That's an AI strategy. Not I use it to type emails. Not I use it to create social media ads. A full business strategy. So as a people, as businesses, we have so much more to do to be ready so that we can play in that space better.
Okay, so let me go back to this, and I think so. 2 questions before I go into the skill set required for us to even move forward. First is, let's assume I'm a 5-year-old. I know nothing. What really is this AI? Like as a 5-year, I'm just because because in my head, I always feel like it's just one robot somewhere that is like, and then it's bringing out things for you. But what really is it?
Well, in layman's terms, AI is a science of using information that you had before to create new things. Now, there are 2 major ones that you should know. That information can be to predict things to come. So predictive AI. That has always existed on our phones. Is when you're typing on WhatsApp, you type it tries to complete you. Right? So that's predictive AI. And in business, you can do the same to use last year and 2 years ago, the data from there to predict what will come. To look at that, it rained on 28th of August and 29th of August, 2022, 2021, and 2020. So on the 28th of August that you want to run a wedding under canopy in 2025 or in 2026, it's more likely to rain. Predictive AI. Now, the one that is popular right now isn't predictive. It's generative AI. Which is using all the photos that have been on Facebook and the internet for 25 years, putting it together to create new photos. All the information that has been on Reddit, on Facebook posts, like now, when I want to use LinkedIn to write, ChatGPT to write a LinkedIn post, why does it start by saying, I am excited, I am thrilled to announce? Why? Because for the last 10 years, people have been thrilled to announce that's usually how people write stuff, right? So using information that people have done. Now, for generative AI, there are different types. There's input and output. The most popular input mode is text. So you input text, which is called prompt engineering, and use it to generate other text. For example, you can use it as a 5-year-old to write a storybook about your favorite story, about your dad, about your mom, right? The next one is text to voice, which is you can type text to create voice outputs. So you can sound like your favorite DJ, you can sound like your favorite cartoon or whatever. There's text to video, like Google VO3, like Clink AI, like Sora. You can type text and make cats sing and make cats dance. There's text to music. You can now create Afrobeat songs with me sounding like Wizkid. That's text to music. There's text to slides. All the PowerPoint that takes people 3 days to do, you can create it in 5 minutes. You type in text, it generates slides. There's text to code. Well, if you wanted to be a software engineer, but didn't quite do it, you can create now your favorite game, your favorite software, or at least vibe code it to a state where you can now go and raise money, or you can now find someone who will back you up to do it. So there are many techs too. Very soon, there will be perfect tools for financial people like you to do text to Excel. So you can say, yes, before the end of next year, it would be perfect. So this is what generative AI is doing.
A lot of people are not going to like that.
The text
like that Excel thing. Like, even if it is there, we just
text to Excel.
We just want to type the formula and see it. But you know, I think thanks to that. I think one of the second thing that I wanted to. So let's say, also as a 5-year, because you know one of the things you hear a lot is AI models. So what is really a model? What is, like, when I say, oh, the AI model is doing, what is that model that we're talking about?
So all of these things that we're talking about, the text to video, text generation, text to image, they are models. So foundational models are usually text generation. Before it takes any action, it uses prompts, which is a set of text, a sentence that's instructing it on what to do. So most of the foundational models are built on 7 billion parameters of data used to train and then constantly fine-tuned for different domains. You want it to be smart about agriculture. You gather data, textbooks, instructional manuals about agriculture. You then use it, talent compute, like we said at the beginning, talent compute, and add the data and use it to train a model that is hosted, in the cloud. Now, those models cannot be used on their own. OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, released ChatGPT in 2022, November, October. Years before that, they had GPT 2.5. It was a model like that was built by researchers, but it couldn't have the conversation it's having with you today. So they built an interface on top of the model and they called it Chat GPT. All right. Now, all that you see now, the exciting tools that you are seeing right now are tools or agents that are layered on top of language models. So when you see Google VO3 is a language model, then they'll put an interface where you can type text and use it to create a video, a movie. So there are tools built on top of models or widgets or agents built on top of models that help you as a layman interact with the model and get good outcomes.
Okay, so invariably, if I get you correctly, a model is more like, it starts from a sheet of paper.
Yes.
Somebody will say X is equals to Y squared plus Z squared plus.
It's based on mathematical and statistical analysis, yes.
So if somebody today wrote, so there can be models that are not yet defined now. Is that what you're saying? Because, like if you go to math, there is quadratic equation, solving one, but there is Laplace transformation in advanced mathematics, solving another. There is different kind of equation. So can I say to myself that, okay, tomorrow, if a guy from Futa in Lagos comes up and say, you know what? I don't like all these models I'm seeing. I think there's a better one. He can put his pen on a board that is as big as the entire school wall and type out a model and write out a model that he believes can be used to train something specifically for Nigeria. So you're telling me that sort of model, combined with a lot of GPUs and a lot of data, can produce a new LLM that people, is this as simple as that?
Yes and no. So I'll give you an example. A lot of the techniques that they're implementing now have been discussed for 20 years. I'll give you one. like the idea of AI, artificial intelligence, when it was first used, was in the 1950s, used in a different way. And then people started writing and innovating on the first person's thoughts and statistical analysis on how they think it can be built. So there's a technique called reinforcement learning. Old, but it was pulled out recently. And that's one of the reasons why models can self-train themselves. So now, no matter how good that footer guy is, and he might be very intelligent and be able to make a change, some of these models are being used to self-train themselves. So models, the actual models, will be able to self-train to do it faster than a human who pulls in pen and paper
I understand.
to change the equation and the ways that they are being trained.
So in my own, I did tiny bit of mathematics.
I get
a self-training model means there's a loop.
Yes.
It basically recorrect historical other variables based on the result of a last variable.
Yes.
So it's like, X is supposed to be 25, but A to all the other alphabets happen to be this to get X to 26. Can I correct this one to make this? So it's almost like you're running a what if analysis all the time, more or less. So it's just my own. Sorry.
It's a fair assessment. Yeah.
So now what I'm trying to establish, because why this question is important to me, is that I feel like there is a notion that assumes that we have gotten to the end of knowledge, and all there is more action on the same thing, which basically restrict people like a very smart guy in Futa, a very amazing dude in Unilag, all those sort of guys, from saying, wait a minute, I think I can do something better than OpenAI is doing. And why? So what I'm trying to put out is to say, if a guy comes now and say, okay, this is the model that somebody is using to do OpenAI. I look at it, if somebody in OpenAI created, I know this guy is basically work off a lot of things. I remember when NVIDIA was coming up with this CUDA GPU matters, all those sort of things, based on somebody somewhere just say, okay, you know what? We would like this thing to be used for educational reasoning. Okay, oh, really? Can we build in this? Can we build all those sort of things? So some guy, a professor in one of the universities in Nigeria, comes out and say, okay, here is a model. When I look at this model in Nigeria, there are 25 million variables that are useless to us. And this happens a lot in academia. We readjust the model. Oh, okay, this is the first model. We've now done empirical studies. We don't need this variable, and then the relation between variable A and variable B can now be, instead of quadratic, we feel we can now create a more binomial relationship. All those sort of things. I'm just talking, trust me.
I'm telling you that you're correct. And that happens every day. So, like I told you, these models, all of the plugins and the agents can be done by software engineers. These actual models are not necessarily built by software engineers. They're built by AI researchers. These guys are like the professor you are talking about. Most of them are master's levels and PhDs, right? And that was what my even PhD project was about. Is about looking at techniques that exist and modifying it or finding new ways to train models. For example, I'll give you you started with Yoruba earlier. The reason why it's very difficult to train Yoruba is that Yoruba, if naturally we wrote Yoruba ourselves, we would not write it in Latin script. We would have written it in like science, like Arabic, like all these Asian scriths.
So because our alphabet.
Yes, because our language is closer to theirs than to Europe. Think about it. How do Ethiopians write their scripts? Think about it. How do like Chinese, Arabic, they are all in a certain way, but we didn't, which is why we adopted the Latin way of writing. But we then added sounds on the vowels. Igbo has even more sounds than Yoruba. Very complex, which means that if you want to train this model, besides using the existing like models or ways of training, you now have to think about how to tokenize A that has this on top differently from A that has this, and pronounce it different on text-to-speech and speech-to-text models, because A that has this one on top is different from, this is different from the A that has a dot under. So you're absolutely correct. We would need, which some of our researchers have done, we would need to continue to find it. What if you want to do Nupe language now, or Ibibio? You need to find different ways that every single language can not only survive, but can be very effective in the space of artificial intelligence, tokenizing it differently, using different approaches. Trying this approach, it works. But when humans evaluated it, it was like 55% correct. Then using this other approach, every single day, there's at least 10,000 new research papers that people put out. In fact, whenever they put out a new model from OpenAI and all these platforms, you always see a white paper or follow it, published papers or released, and they go present it at academic conferences to talk about it. The paper that changed all of this that we're talking about AI today is a paper called Attention is All You Need, that was developed by Google researchers, Google AI researchers. They are professors, PhDs. Guess who got the first benefit from it? OpenAI.
Wow.
Now, Google, in my opinion, might win the race.
They have it.
Right? Because they have the platforms to offer for it. But it's these ideas that are happening. And a Nigerian professor or Nigerian master's student or Nigerian undergraduate is not left out. His paper as well can make a major difference in this.
Which is what I'm saying. So now, because I think what is not happening is basically, and that brings me to the skill side. If you look at the skills we have now, like, what do we need to start thinking around? What do we need to start saying? Okay, you know what? The world is moving to a new way of thinking. You went to learn physics in school. You went to read whatever course in the university. Where does the application, what skill set do I need to say, okay, you know what? This is how an average engineer, an average AI researcher, what is the skill set we need to face this new age? Oh, you hear this in every day. Oh, about 25% or 50% of jobs will be lost in the next so and so years. I still think only those that live by the sword can die by the sword.
Of course.
If we don't
live by AI,
there is no job that is going away for AI. If you leave the job for AI, you will see. But the point is, it's just something I feel. You need to, first of all, get to the point where automation has become a way of life. Before you say people will say, oh, those guys, I believe people will lose jobs. Some jobs will be irrelevant based on AI. Some jobs will be, a new set of jobs will come into life based on AI.
Yes.
But what is now the skill set that people, how do we start thinking about the new skill set required for this new age? There used to be a time where you have, what's it called? You have a bunch of people send you 500 emails. You call your assistant, please let me summarize it. Now, upload a simple, window on your computer. You have a summary in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
There used to be, those things are no longer relevant.
Oh, now there are agents that would jump into your email and reply to the ones that are simple and prioritize the ones that you need to answer.
Exactly. So there is everything now. So the point is, but the human brain evolves. It's something I've learned about us as humans. We basically evolve every day. What is that evolution you see of the skills? And as Nigerians now, how should people be, positioning for skills to say, not that I want to go and be writing, learn AI in 5 minutes or learn how to use AI with a slate. It's more, how should we position for skills now? What should people be thinking about, and how should that thinking be guided?
Okay. First off, I must commend that recently they changed the curriculum to include, getting basic Excel skills early and then learning AI. I'm not sure on the teachers who will teach it, but I hope that, they are also upskilled so that it wouldn't happen like when back in the day in the university where professors taught with brown manuscripts that they prepared 8 years ago or 10 years ago, that they are constantly updating their skills and getting training. They probably need to get training every 2 years or every 2 months rather. Now, on how skills will change. Like you mentioned, to buttress your point, there was a time where it was horses that pulled carts. Then steam engines replaced it. Now there are self-driving cars that don't even have drivers. And let's not forget that one of the largest employers of middle-aged men in every country in the world is cab driving. What happens when we all adopt self-driving cars? It's a big worry.
The ones that trust middle-aged men will keep going.
But it will, also technology of cars. It might take 15 years for those cars to get here, especially in a country where we buy used cars and a bunch of, of these things. Now, the way I like to categorize what we need to do now based on the jobs is in 3 ways. Number one, we need a huge population of those guys who read physics. I wasn't demeaning physics. We need those guys. People who read physics are needed in building AI that would control robots. Because it's them that understand gravity, movements, and will be able to build, because the robots are coming. I have seen them with my eyes.
A lot of them are being recruited by banks.
Robots who would carry your child and put them to sleep. Robots who would cook your best meal. Robots who will make the best margarita cocktail that you've ever drunk in your life, because they're simply using the data from watching like a good mixologist make cocktail and make it. So the robots are coming. So 3 categories of jobs, to be precise. Or the first one we need those people who are skilled in statistics, math, and to retrain them almost immediately to be AI researchers. Their job will have to be in twofold. They have to remain in our schools to teach our people, but also they have to be able to train models that are designed for our people and our peculiar problems. Models that are designed to help farmers. Models that are designed as listening tools to help government to listen to bandits and find where they are. Instead of turning off internet in that whole state, you can listen to them and react. We need those types of people who we will export them because we have smart people. But there are also people who, despite being abroad, will help us continue to train. So that's the first set of people that we need to train. The second set is the general population. You need to encourage them to use AI. It's like people who didn't use Snapchat struggle to use TikTok. I don't know if you, the reason is you have to sometimes go with the change of content and how things are created to really get the vibe on the next one. So there's a space for teaching our people to prompt engineer, but not just for content, using it to better their own lives. If you spend 3 hours in a day replying emails to say seen, that could have been done for you so that you would do other things. Like I talked about, text to slide, text to video, all of those tools, knowing how to use it, especially because they are non-code. Now, the third one and most important one that we need is we need automation engineers. Not I'm a front end, I'm a back end. Someone who understands both and is able to take an AI model and talk to you about what your specific business needs or a specific leader needs and help them design it, vibe code it for them specifically. So I'm a bank MD that has to approve a lot of things. That job can be left to manual work. Why? Because of fraud. But there are also things that are not worth my time, but I need to see it. Can it summarize it for me while I'm sleeping? And in the morning in my car on my way to work, he sends it as a personal app that's not on the App Store to my phone, where I can read those summaries that you mentioned and respond based on what I saw. That's a solution that is personalized. AI and automation, it has ushered in the era of true personalization. Personalizing for your most difficult things, the most difficult challenges you have as a person, and the most difficult challenges you have as a business. So we need to retrain a lot of our front-end engineers. There's many of them. I do front-end. 5 years, there might not be a job for you just to do front-end. So you will need to be an automation engineer that can take OpenAI Model 6, ChatGPT, and infuse it in something for me. Someone who can take ChatGPT to create social media content for me every day and put it in an Excel. And then to take it from the Excel to post it on my Instagram every day. And then to go to my Instagram and everybody who replies to my post to reply to them in a good way based on my rapport with those people. That requires an automation engineer. So 3 groups of jobs. People, generalists who will use it for different things. People who will be automation engineers who will use it for movies or whatever we want to create in the future. And then actual actual AI researchers who will build the models that we want to see, that we want to use, that are cheaper, that are smarter, and that serve our people. Those are the 3 groups of how I see the 3 groups of AI jobs. That's not talking about what we've spoken on earlier, people who work on the data centers and all of those things. Now, finally, there are a few jobs that are guaranteed to be disrupted. Let's be honest. Customer service. There is no reason why a full-grown adult should sit on a phone and repeat a script all day long. That person can do more valuable work. Right? So, also, we're not going to fire that person. The person will just do more complex things. The AI will forward the call to the person. Historian. You used to carry the history in your head because people couldn't open books. Now
AI will carry
AI will carry it.
I always say this thing about, this customer service one. I say, if you have a real problem, the only place you should not have a problem that is unique is with Google.
Yes.
If you do, God help you.
God help you.
Like, you go to those AIs like,
yes.
Oh my God.
They won't, because they nobody's picking up a call.
You will be the one to give up and just say,
yeah. If they want to talk to you, they will be the one to call you, and if you're a viable business. But you will go through AIs and there are loops sometimes, things that they have.
God.
So if you have a unique problem, you're right.
I used to have one that I would send an email, get the same response, and I would and the response will always have a name. And then you respond and you're like, thank you very much for the email. I really appreciate help you. Then it goes back into the same response. And I'm like, this thing is not going to get tired. It's me that will get tired. Well, it was me that got tired eventually. I was like, thank you very much. I give up. So, okay. So now you mentioned 50 years as the gap. Let's even bring that back. Let's say
data gap.
Yeah. Let's say we have some sort of discount on that. We're able to walk super fast, twice as fast, or even 3 times as fast. It leads us to 12.5. But let's say, that's like 12.5. So
we can solve it in 3 years. And I can tell you how,
I'm coming to that. Now, the point is, shouldn't that be something that is not priority for kids? How do we get kids to start learning AI now?
In school?
Yes.
But before we get them to do it in school, well, one of the things that I'm doing at my company, StakeStack, is to first train the teachers. The reason why there is low adoption or little adoption in schools is because the teachers are scared of also losing their jobs, not knowing that we already have a shortage of teachers, and that's not the problem. Teachers are worried because teachers, they do great work, but teachers are slow to change. Teachers have been using essays, multiple choice questions for assessment for years. Now that AI can write the best essay and multiple choice questions, they think AI is the problem. The system is the problem. There can be ways that you can assess knowledge, not asking a person to write an essay about their holiday. And if you are adamant for them to write an essay about their holiday, then let them write it on pen and paper. Don't make it an assignment. So teachers have to be trained, and trained constantly, on how they can use AI to solve their pain. And if they familiarize themselves with it, they would be more open into not only teaching kids how to use AI, but how not to use AI as well. Not to use AI to bully, to create ridiculous pictures. Using AI for optimization. We are all using AI to optimize our job. A child's job is to learn, and he's using AI to optimize how he learns. And you said it's cheating. It's not. The cheating is that the system hasn't changed the way they assess knowledge. Once that is changed, using AI in school is not cheating. So that is my soapbox moment about like it in school, because I really, really think that it needs to be taught in school, and it needs to be taught for personalization. It also needs to be taught in beyond teachers. It needs to be taught to employees of companies. Employees have to learn that beyond, I don't know, back in the day, I know you would know this, training in companies is they will send you one course and everybody will take it, but everybody will not take it until they say it's 5 hours to it closing.
Oh, yes.
So people are just skipping through the videos and guessing on the multiple choice question.
Do we even get? We miss it. You go
miss it, you go back and do
say
it.
you miss it, you tell you the answer. You now go back and say repeat. Click the answer. Me, that was how I went through all those things.
I am so glad. I am so glad it's not a personal experience.
Jane said, when you get to the end, okay,
Yes.
answer this question to proceed. Just pick anyone. Wrong. The new question is C. Okay, retake or go retake.
You'll come back and retake.
C. But yeah,
Always been the problem. And I will tell you till this very day, it's still a challenge because people use old ways of teaching. The same thing we're talking about in schools is happening when you want to retrain a worker. So you're saying my workers understand cybersecurity. Do they? Or did they just pass the assessment after gaming it? So it's important that, imagine using ChatGPT as the assessment, telling ChatGPT, a link on ChatGPT saying, assess this worker for his knowledge on so and so. That person will chat. If they don't truly learn, the ChatGPT will not assess them that they have passed. You see how AI is not the challenge, but AI can be a way that would break it down to them saying, oh, you got it wrong. The question is not C, it's B. Here's why. Do you understand?
Let me go over that again. So you're saying that the best option is to use AI to actually do the assessment.
Yes.
So when you go, you are chatting with the AI, the one you want to use to cheat is the one now teaching you.
We call it cognition test. Let me tell you why. Because it's the only one that has the opportunity to break it down to you based on your response. What is this? It's a cup. It's a glass cup. Yes, you tried. It might be made of glass, but it's a mug. Do you know why it's a mug? Oh, it's a mug because they use it to drink water. No, it's not really made for water. It's made for hot liquid so it can hold the heat. So tell me what this is again. It's a mug. It's made with ceramic and thick because it holds heat. That person would never forget.
So invariably, instead of relying on the power of memory, cram it, then regurgitate, we now say, forget memory. Let's get you to understand. So we force you to think about the problem.
And it's not mean. He will treat you, and if he assesses that you have a 7-year-old's intelligence, he will teach you as a 6-year-old. Because sometimes we assume that all adults are at the same level of intelligence.
Interesting. Okay. So what? So now you mentioned something. So you're teaching teachers, more or less. And so what now? Are there, support platforms that you feel, okay, you know what, as, CDAO as a company, do you guys have all this, who are the partners that are basically, because I always believe there's always an ecosystem to everything.
Yeah.
Who are now these partners that are working, working to make this happen? And at the same time, how, if I was just a random guy on the street and saying, okay, you know what, I like this movement, I want to be able to, punching on it, how does that work? Because I believe the job you're doing is a job that is intense. It's a quantum amount of work. How do you,
and there's no blueprint.
Exactly. How does an average person say, you know what, I want to support this. I want to go in, punching on what is happening here. How do we do it?
The ecosystem is made up of, number one, government, because all the data that we're paying money to collect, the government can provide that, right? Not that it exists, but the government can document the culture, history of its people, open source it, and we can continue to use it to train models. The government makes a huge play. The government can also mandate its agencies to speak to Nigerians in local languages, which they've always craved for. Right? If local languages and ethnic orientation wasn't important, why does it determine how we vote? Why has it determined the highest grossing movies in the history of Nigeria? List it. What's the highest grossing movie? Fuki Akelele movie. She always makes sure that there are nuances of every tribe. It matters. So, that government is a major player in the ecosystem. The other player in the ecosystem are us as AI companies needs to form a consortium, because talking with one person as a mouthpiece feels like you're making a decision or you're pushing for yourself. Talking as a group means that it helps the collective. So I'm currently working on that. I'm putting that together. The other thing that is needed is data centers. We need people who will take care of the infrastructure. We can't do both. We need telco companies to try to better how, they supply Wi-Fi, and to also provide the platforms that people like us can integrate with them. We need regulators to stay out of the way. Regulate and protect the people, but don't over-regulate and then stifle growth. All right? We need the biggest players in the tech landscape, fintechs, banks, those types of people to embrace innovation like they say they do, right? It's comfortable. You set up your customer care. You've used it for 15 years, but it's time for a change. It's time to approach different. So all of this will be a part of the ecosystem, but the most important people in the ecosystem are Nigerian people. Not only do they need to demand it, but the ones that can't even demand it need to see it safe to provide their knowledge, their data of their language, of their ethnic background, of their feelings as data sets for us to train models that will help their children and help them themselves. So there is a place for everyone in this local AI push, not only local language, because the data goes beyond language. It also goes to how you conduct your business. You got 2.5 tons per hectare on your maize farm, and other people got 4.5 tons per hectare. That's just an example. How can the 4.5 tons per hectare help the 2.5? And how can the person in Brazil who gets 12.5 tons per hectare, who speaks Portuguese, how can those tech companies who work in agriculture help our own farmer to find that information so that their yield goes up and provides more information? That's the pipeline. So there are many people in the ecosystem. One more. Security professionals. They also have to play a huge role, because some people from our country have been known for scams or have, been caught doing scams. With every technology, there's the good part that we're trying to do. There's the bad part that some people will try to do. And that bad part can overwhelm and make regulators or people frown and shut down on the good part. So there's a role to play to understand that dynamic and operate effectively and not just shut things down because we feel a little pain. We have to be open to the notion of the greater good rather than the small harm.
Interesting. Okay. So before I move on, I think I need to now ask you, like I said, what's your biggest fear? What are you most, but I think that's the time for the question now. What are you most optimistic about? What is your biggest, like you feel like, oh wow, this is happening. I'm excited about it in Nigeria right now. In relation to AI, really.
Okay. In relation to AI. I would say I am most excited about how people are using it and the creativity that the individuals are using. AI. I'm excited about that. I'm also very excited about what some of our partners are doing in healthcare and in telco, and in agriculture. The idea of, my bachelor's was in agriculture. Agriculture, and we at the University of Ilorin, and we did something called agriculture extension. And the idea of agriculture extension has always been training one person to drive for 6 hours to go and teach people how to do something. And there's evidence that it has not worked. Maybe it worked a little, but it has not worked broad-based. Think about the idea of wanting to train our farmers, but not being able to speak in their language, show them through videos, right? And even get feedback from them.
And nobody needs to leave their house.
And it's affordable. Think about how that would change the value chain.
Even the curriculum in school.
The curriculum in school. Think about what we do as Stake Stack, being able to help train employees. Think about how you that struggle to maybe build a course or train employees can just say, we're going to send you, thank you for joining our company. You resume in 3 days. Here is a video. Watch on what you're supposed to do. And here's an assessment that the AI will evaluate whether you have learned it or not. Think about the scale of what you can do using AI to train people. What I call it is human augmented intelligence. That's the position that Nigeria must. Augmented intelligence. Instead of AI replacing people, using AI to augment the challenges in our education system for about 50 years. Just quickly using it to augment and using it to train people for the future. Using it to build on skills that we have not trained for 10 years, but now we can fast track and train in 2 years.
Interesting.
That is what I'm excited about, because I can see some people doing it, but we all need to embrace it. One more thing I'm excited about is that Nigerians are not afraid of technology. They usually embrace it.
For sure.
I've seen some countries where they're like, oh, we're not going to use it because of privacy issues. Nigerians are going to go use it.
I lived in Rwanda.
Yeah.
I can tell you, that's one of the things I felt. It's a real problem, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've seen it a lot of times where people just like, I'm not going to touch it with this. And they go back to the old ways over and over and over again. But yeah,
we embrace it. And while we embrace it, please don't share your personal information. Please don't share pictures of your kids. Just know the basics on what you should share. But I'm excited about the first Nollywood movie they would create with an AI video platform. I'm excited about, the number of unicorns in the next 5 years, because now people can build companies cheaper. You don't need to have 10 to 15 software developers. You can have 5 or 4 and build with that. I'm excited about, how we can hold leaders accountable, using AI, and let's see how that plays out.
Okay. So yeah, I think it's been a wow. I'm amazed. So, but I think it's been an amazing, couple of hours, and I think I'm so excited to see what you guys think about this in the comment section. So yeah, I look forward to hearing back, and it's been amazing. Yinka, thanks a lot for coming on. I really, really appreciate this, and I look forward to having more conversation around this going forward, and also speaking more about CDAO later on. So, but yeah, I look forward to everything, and then it's been Not Motivated. Peace out.